Hi everyone, welcome back to this video series on Windows Server 2012 Foreign Security Principles. In environments that have more than one domain, you may need to grant permissions to users who reside in multiple domains. Generally, you manage this using Active Directory, trees, and forests. However, in some cases, you may want to provide resources to users who belong to domains that are not part of the forest. Active Directory uses the concept of foreign security principles to allow permissions to be assigned to users who are not part of an Active Directory forest. This process is automatic and does not require the intervention of a system administrators. You can then add the foreign security principles to domain local groups, for which in turn you can grant permissions for resources within the domain. You can view a list of foreign security principles by using the Active Directory Users and Computers tool. Figure 7.5 shows the contents of the Foreign Security Principles folder. Managing security and permissions. Now that you understand the basic issues, terms, and Active Directory objects that pertain to security, it's time to look at how you can apply this information to secure your network resources. A general practice for managing security is to assign users to groups and then grant permissions and log on parameters to the groups so that they can access certain resources for management ease and to implement a hierarchical structure. You can place groups within OUs. You can also assign group policy settings to all of the objects contained within an OU. By using this method, you can combine the benefits of a hierarchical structure through OUs with the use of security principles. Figure 7.6 provides a diagram of this process. So here you see users assigned to groups, organized OU group policy. The primary tool you use to manage security permissions for users, groups, and computers is the Active Directory Users and Computers tool. Using this tool, you can create and manage Active Directory objects and organize them based on your business needs. Common tasks for many system administrators might include the following: resetting a user's password, for example, in case where they forget their password, creating new accounts when, for instance, a new employee joins a company, modifying group memberships based on changes in job requirements and functions, disabling user accounts when, for example, users will be out of the office for a long period of time and will not require network resource access. Once you've properly grouped your users, you need to set the actual permissions that affect the objects within Active Directory. The actual permissions available vary based on the type of the object. Table 7.1 provides an example of some of the permissions that you can apply to various Active Directory objects and an explanation of what each permission does. Permission explanation, create child. Create objects within an OU such as other OUs. Delete child. Deletes child objects within an OU. Delete trees. Deletes an OU and the objects within it. List contents. Views contents within an OU. List objects. Views a list of objects within an OU, and as you might be familiar, OU means organizational unit. Read, view properties of an object such as a username. Write, modifies properties of an object using ACLs and ACEs. Each object in Active Directory has an access control list, ACL. The ACL is a list of user accounts and groups that are allowed to access the resource. For each ACL, there is an access control entry, ACE, that defines what a user or group can actually do with the resource. Deny permissions are always listed first. This means that if users have denied permissions through users and group membership, they will not be allowed to access the object, even if they have explicit allow permissions through other user or group permissions. Figure 7.7 shows an ACL for the sales OU. Configuring user account control. One of the issues that many users have run into is as follows. When they log into their standard Windows user account and they need to make a change on their local machines or run a program that requires a higher level of security, they can't complete the task. This is where user account control can help. User account control, UAC, allows your domain users to log into their machines using their standard Windows user account and then send executive process that may require additional user group access. Some applications may require additional security permissions to run successfully. These types of programs are normally referred to as legacy applications. Some applications, however, such as installing new software or making configuration changes, require more permissions than what is available to a standard user account. This is where UAC can help. Where an executable or program needs to function properly with more than just standard user rights, UAC can give the user's token additional users. This token allows the executable or program to function properly by giving the standard user account rights to complete the task. To configure the UAC, an administrator can go into the system control panel and then user accounts. Inside the user accounts snap-in, choose Change User Account Control Settings. Deleting control of users and groups. A common administrative function related to the use of Active Directory involves managing users and groups. You can use OUs to group objects logically, so you can easily manage them. Once you have placed the appropriate Active Directory objects within OUs, you are ready to delegate control of these objects. Delegation is the process by which a higher level security administrator assigns permissions to other users. For example, if admin A is a member of the domain admins group, they are able to delegate control of any OU within the domain to admin B. You can access the delegation of control wizard through the Active Directory users and computers tools. You can use it to perform common delegation tasks quickly and easily. The wizard walks you through the steps of selecting the objects for which you want to perform delegation, what permission you want to allow, and which users will have these permissions. Exercise 7.1, Delegating control of Active Directory objects. 1. Open the Active Directory users and computers tools. 2. Create a new user within the organization OU using the following information. Use the default settings for any field not supported. First name, Robert. Last name, admin. User login name or admin. Password, P@SSW0RD. 3. Right-click the Sales OU and select Delegate Control. This starts the delegation of Control Wizard. Click Next. To add users and groups to which you want to delegate control, click the Add button. In the Add dialog box, enter Robert admin for the name of the user to add. Note that you can specify multiple users or groups using this option. 5. Click OK to add the account on the delegation list, which is shown in the users or groups page. Click Next to continue. 6. On the tasks to delegate page, you must specify which actions you want to allow the selected user to perform within the OU. Select the delegate the following common task option and place a check mark next to the following options. Create, delete, and manage user accounts. Reset user passwords and force password change at next logon. Read all user information. Create, delete, and manage groups. Modify the membership of a group. 7. Click next to continue. The wizard provides you with a summary of the selections that you have made on the completing the delegation of control wizard page. To complete the process, click finish to have the wizard commit the changes. Now, when the user Robert admin logs on using or admin as his logon name, he will be able to perform common administrative functions for all of the objects contained within the Sales OU8. When you have finished, close the Active Directory user and computers tool. Understanding dynamic access control. One of the advantages of Windows Server 2012 or 2 is the ability to apply data governance on your file server. This will help control who has access to information and auditing. You get these advantages through the use of dynamic access control, DAC. DAC allows you to identify data by using data classifications, both automatic and manual, and then to control access to these files based on these classifications. DAC also gives administrators the ability to control file access by using a central access policy. This central access policy will also allow an administrator to set up audit access to files for reporting and forensic investigation. DAC allows an administrator to set up Active Directory Rights Management Service, AD/RMS encryption for Microsoft Office documents. For example, you can set up encryption for any documents that contain financial information. DAC gives an administrator the flexibility to configure file access and auditing to domain-based file servers. To do this, DAC controls claims in the authentication token, resource properties, and conditional expression within permission and auditing entries. Administrators have the ability to give users access to files and folders based on Active Directory attributes. For example, a user named Dana is given access to the file server share because in the user's Active Directory department attribute properties, the value contains the value sales. Using group policy for settings. Through the use of group policy settings, system administrators can assign thousands of different settings and options for users, groups, and OUs, specifically in relation to security. You can use many different options to control how important features such as password, policy, user rights, and account lockout settings can be configured. The general process for making these settings is to create a group policy object, GPO, with the settings that you want and then link it to an OU or other Active Directory object. Table 7.2 lists many group policy settings which are relevant to creating a secure Active Directory environment. Note that this list is not comprehensive. Many other options are available through Windows Server 2012 or 2 administrative tools. Okay, so table 7.2, setting section, setting name, purpose, account policies, password policies, enforce password history, specifies how many passwords will be remembered. This option prevents users from reusing the same passwords whenever they're changed. Account policy, password policy, minimum password length, prevents users from using short, weak passwords by specifying the minimum number of characters that the password must include. Account policies, account policy lockout. Account lockout threshold specifies how many bad password attempts can be entered before the account gets locked out. Account policies, account lockout policy, account lockout duration specifies how long an account will remain locked out after too many bad password attempts have been entered. By setting this option to a reasonable value, such as 30 minutes, you can reduce administrative overhead while still maintaining fairly strong security. Account policies, account policy lockout, reset account lock out counter after specifies how long the account lockout threshold counter will hold failed logon attempts before resetting to zero. Local security setting, local policies, security options, accounts, rename administrator account. Often, when trying to gain unauthorized access to a computer, individuals attempt to guess the administrator password. One method for increasing security is to rename this account so that no password allows no entry using this logon. Local policy security options. Domain controller allows server operators to schedule tasks. This option specifies whether members of the built-in server operators group are allowed to schedule tasks on the server. Local policy security options, interactive logon, do not display last username. Increases security by not displaying the name of the last user who logged onto the system. Local policies, shut down, allow system to be shut down without having to log on. Allow system administrators perform remote shutdown operations without logging onto the server. So I'm going to leave it here today for this video. If you like listening, please consider like, sharing, and subscribing. Thank you.